Welcome to another episode of the best sports talk by your host, Tamar Ted. Welcome back to another great episode. And like I said, this episode we're going to discuss the latest and greatest in all the sports news that's transpired the day before. On this lovely Tuesday, we're going to go ahead and discuss the NBA results from last night's games. On my predictions, I was pretty good, pretty solid. And some I was shocked. I didn't predict, but that's the nature of the business. You win some, you lose some. So let me go ahead and go over the final scores from last night's game. The one I did predict, I'm going to start off first because I shocked a lot of people when I predicted this. Detroit defeated Atlanta 113 to 110 in overtime. Chicago lost to the 76ers 121 to 106. Miami Heat defeated the Houston Rockets 123 to 106. The Timberwolves destroyed the Trailblazers. Final score was 124 to 81. Dallas defeated Utah 111-103. San Antonio defeated San Antonio defeated the Lakers without LeBron. Final score was 117 to 110. And the Denver Nuggets defeated the Golden State Warriors. Final score 133 to 124. New York defeated the Kings 131 to 115. As of right now, the Eastern Conference standings, if the playoffs would have ended today, Miami would be. Sorry about that. Every time I go live, somebody want to text or call. Let me turn this off. So there'll be no more distractions. I promise. Bear with me. Give me 1 second, y'all. All right, we all set with that. As I was saying, if the playoffs would have ended or start today, Miami Heat would be the number 1 seed. Philadelphia would be the 2nd seed. Milwaukee Bucks would be 3rd. Chicago would be 4th. Boston would be 5th. Cleveland would be 6th. Toronto would be 7th. The 8th seed would go to the Charlotte Hornets. 9th would be Brooklyn Nets. And 10th place would be the Atlanta Hawks. So Brooklyn and Atlanta would be playing in the playing game, standing a chance. So it's interesting. So the Brooklyn Nets, wow, are a bubble team, surprisingly, because the beginning of the year, or beginning of the season, that is, the Lakers and the Nets were the preseason favorites to win the title, to be in the finals, to play against each other. And they both are, respectfully, on the bubble trying to get in the playoffs. Again, if it ended today, this is what the standings would be. And for the Western Conference, you have Phoenix Suns in 1st place, Memphis Grizzlies 2nd, Golden State Warriors 3rd, Utah Jazz would be 4th, Dallas would be 5th, Denver would be 6th, Minnesota would be 7th, the Los Angeles Clippers, not Lakers, the Clippers would be 8th. Los Angeles Lakers are the 9th seed, a game ahead of the New Orleans Pelicans in 10th place. So again, LA and the Pelicans will play in the playing game if the playoffs would have ended today. And the West is so loaded and stacked, they like maybe a game apart. So any given day, this can change and fluctuate. I mean, you can actually have Denver skip from 6th to 4th with no problems, easily. So I'd like to see how this will go in a couple of weeks, because I'm going to go ahead and go over the rules. Teams seeded 7th through 10th in each conference will play in the playoff tournament at the end of the regular season. So for the Western Conference, you have Minnesota, Los Angeles Clippers, Los Angeles Lakers, and the New Orleans Pelicans all playing in the play-in to get to the playoffs. And I like that. That's a dope format. I think it brings an extra aspect to the playoffs to get you in the mindset of a pre-playoffs, if you can follow me what I'm saying. And I like how they do the same format in college ball as well. The playing game is an extra playing game for the fans to enjoy. Now, I don't know how the players may feel about that, but the fans definitely enjoy it. So, again, Toronto, Charlotte, Brooklyn, and Atlanta will be all playing the play-in game in the Eastern Conference. And all four teams are amazing. So it's going to be a great playing game for the playoffs if it was to start today. So I like what I'm seeing, and I actually can't wait till it tip off. Man, it's going to be exciting this year. So let me go over the box scores of the game, starting with the Pistons versus Atlanta. And that was a great game if you didn't catch it, by the way. Something about them Pistons of lately, like I was saying yesterday, before last night came, they was the winner of 5 out of the last 7. And yesterday they improved to be winners of the last 6 out of 8. So since the All-Star break, they have a record of 6-2. And that's great for a young team of that type of caliber who was struggling earlier this season just to find an identity, to gel with different players. So one thing with a young team, when you have young players, they still try to find their niche. And Grant being the veteran on that team, and he's a good player, he's finally adjusting to playing with the supporting cast. And they've been looking good up lately. Now, I will have to admit they have a challenge up ahead. Matter of fact, tomorrow they face the Chicago Bulls, and that Bull team is a loaded team. Despite having injuries to Ball and Caruso, they still have a great lineup ahead. So if the Pistons can beat the Bulls and that be another battle test game for them, that definitely increased the momentum and the confidence of the team as they prepare for the future. And I'm not going to lie, I might be a little biased, but the Pistons forever be my team. But I like all teams, but the Pistons my favorite, despite their record. But let me go ahead and recite the stats. So the game leaders for the game yesterday, for the Hawks, Bogdanovich with 22 points. Cade Cunningham for the Pistons had 28. Leading rebounders for both teams. For Atlanta, Capella had 12. Marvin Bagley had 10 for the Pistons. Assist leaders, Trajan Young had 12. And Cunningham had 10 assists. So Cade Cunningham, the rookie out of Oklahoma State, had a double-double with 28 points and 10 assists. So that's a great game for him, indeed. Let's see how much Trae Young had, because Trae Young was really much contained the whole game with great defense from Killian Hayes and Cade Cunningham rotating on the defensive matchup, and that length alone caused troubles for Trae Young. Unfortunately, being that he's a smaller guard, the longer guard's length will cause some kind of difficulty on his shots. Not that he can't make his shots, but it alters it a little bit. Okay, he finished with 14 points and 12 assists, like I was saying. He didn't shoot very well yesterday, 5 for 20 from the field, 2 for 7 from the three-point line. John Collins had 17 and 11, a double-double to chip in. Hunter also had 15 points to help out. But it just fell short. It wasn't enough. Even with the game from Gallinari off the bench with 14 and Lou Will doing what Lou Will does best. He had 13 to add off the bench. But the Pistons just had too much firepower. Jeremy Grant had 23 points and 4 rebounds. Sadiq Bey didn't have one of his best shooting games, but he added 9 points. Isaiah Stewart got injured in the second quarter with a knee injury, so he was out the game. So off the bench, Bagley added a double-double game with 19 points, 10 rebounds. He's been a great addition since the All-Star break. That trade for him, Josh Jackson, and Trey Lyles. The Pistons sending them two over to the Sacramento Kings in exchange for Marvin Bagley has paid off dividends. He adds length. He adds an aspect of a rim protector, and he makes it difficult to not be watched over in the game because he stands out. And I have noticed that him and Cade has already have a nice chemistry on the pick and roll, lob to the basket type of play. So that's a good thing to give a point guard, a young point guard at that, some options to go to. And Marvin Bagley, he just landed on the wrong team, it looked like. With the Kings, they didn't really play him or know how to use him, or whatever the reason was. He's was slept on. So I'm glad he arrived to the Pistons, showcase his talents. Hopefully he can build with the Pistons and bring them back for another season to continue the chemistry with him and Kay and the rest of the fellas on that team. And Killian Hayes, he had a good game off the bench with 13 and 6 assists. So he's coming to his own as well, gaining more confidence, especially with the second unit, where he can be the main ball handler and facilitator. So that's what he needed to gain his confidence. I wish the young man the best of success, as he can be a help moving forward in the future, the Pistons' success. So next game again is Wednesday against the Bulls. The Pistons are at home. And the Bulls, as I stated earlier, lost to the 76ers yesterday. Final score of 121 to 106. It's like Embiid and Harden was just too much. I mean, so since Harden arrived to the 76ers, they are now 5-1. And that's an awesome record. And again, they are second in the Eastern Conference behind behind Miami. As if the playoffs would have ended right now, they'd be the second seed. And who would have thought that a few months ago with the non-playing Ben Simmons on the team? And we were saying they needed one more piece to help Embiid out. And Lord beholds, they gained that piece with James Harden, and I think they're set to go. All right, again, James Harden had 16 and 14, another double-double. Embiid had a monster game with 43 points, 14 rebounds. Tobias Harris dropped 8 points. Maxey added 17 to help the 76ers move past the Bulls. DeMar DeRozan had 23 points, 11 rebounds, a nice double-double to go along with 8 assists. Zach LaVine had 24 points, 8 rebounds. And Kobe White off the bench had 19 points, but it just fell short as the Sixers moved past the Bulls, 121 to 106. We'll see what the Bulls got tomorrow against the Pistons, coming off a loss to the 76ers. They want to keep up with the Philadelphia 76ers. Look like right now they're a game and a half above the Bulls, the Sixers, that is. So the Bulls want to go ahead and get closer, close that gap so they can move past the Sixers into the second spot in the Eastern Conference. But they got to continue to win. And that Detroit team, like I said earlier, is going to be tough as of late. So keep an eye on that game as well. Miami defeated the Houston Rockets 123 to 106. Jimmy Butler had 21 points to go with 7 rebounds. Bam had 18 and 10 rebounds. Robinson had 13 points. PJ Tucker added 11. And off the bench, Tyler Hero had 31 points. Whoa. The unsung hero. And for the Rockets, leading scorer was Kevin Porter Jr. with 22. Green had 20. Off the bench, Christopher had 16. And Kenyon Martin Jr. had 14. But they fell short, unfortunately, to the Miami Heat, who are now the number 1 team in the Eastern Conference. A drastic improvement from last year, indeed. All right. Minnesota, again, destroyed Portland, 124 to 81. Leading scorer for the Timberwolves was Towns, who had 27 and 13 rebounds. Reed had 18 off the bench. Beasley added 19, as it was just too much for the Trailblazers, who leading scorer was Williams with 27. And Johnson added 14 off the bench. The San Antonio Spurs defeated the Los Angeles Lakers 117-110. Leading scorer for the Lakers was THT with 18. Russell Westbrook had 17. Monk had 17 as well. And off the bench, Carmelo had 17. So a good game from Carmelo off the bench. However, it just wasn't enough to just surpass the Spurs. Despite LeBron not playing, they still ended up losing by 7. Leading scorer for the Spurs was Murray with 26, 10 rebounds. Richardson had 18. Johnson added 13 to lead the Spurs against the struggling LA Lakers. And I also read an article where Russell Westbrook is concerned with his family's safety. Apparently, he receiving death threats because of his lackluster, I should say, performance this season. And he's worried about the death threats that his family has received. His wife has came on and talked about it as well, how they feel uncomfortable and they don't no longer attend the Lakers home games because of the hecklers out there that's talking bad about Russell Westbrook game. Here's my take on it. Yes, Russell has sucked this year. I'm not sugarcoating it. I'm not going to lie about it. And I'm going to be very open and honest about it. However, I don't think the man nor his family should receive death threats because at the end of the day, it's only basketball. I mean, he control, it's a small bit, his performance. And that's it. After that, he can't dictate anything else. Now, I admit he doesn't look good as a Laker this season. But overall, before going to the Lakers, he had a great career. Maybe it's chemistry or who knows what it is. But at the same time, I don't think people should threaten another man's family all because of how they feel that person's performance. There's no excuse for it. But unfortunately, we live in a society where anything goes. And then a lot of people are now what I call computer gangsters, Twitter fingers. They would never say this in front of his face at all. They would second guess themselves. I mean, it's kind of unfortunate, tragic that we live in a society like that where that's condoned. But unfortunately, it shouldn't be accepted. So I wish the best for Russell Westbrook and his family. Hopefully nothing transpired from these crazy people, crazy fans, whatever you want to call them. And we could just move on. And hopefully this motivates Russell to play better if he's still engaged. To be continued. All right, again, Dallas Mavericks defeat the Utah Jazz. Final score was 111 to 103. Leading scorer for the Dallas Mavericks was Luka with 35 and 16 rebounds. Solid performance. Spencer Dinwiddie added 23 points. Smith had 21. Powell had 13. Leading scorer for the Utah Jazz was Bogdanovic with 21. Donovan Mitchell added 17 with 9 assists. Rudy Gobert had 12 and 13. And O'Neal added 13 as well. But unfortunately, the Jazz fell short to the Dallas Mavericks. Again, final score was 111 to 103. Definitely. So any games come on today? Let's see here. Checking the listings. All right. Today's games, Charlotte versus the Nets, come on at 7 o'clock. Charlotte Hornets are the hosts. And also, if you recall, this matchup is key because Charlotte and Brooklyn are two teams that's in that play-in bubble. So this game is highly important on the seeding of that. So I would like to take this game. Wow. It's hard to choose who will win as the line has Brooklyn up by 3. But the Charlotte Hornets are at home. Interesting. Give me Charlotte in this game. All right. Also at 7 o'clock today, you have the Pacers playing against the Cavaliers. And the Pacers are at home. Cavaliers are coming off a victory. The line have Cleveland up by 3. I'm going to go with the Cavaliers on this game on the road. Also, you have the Phoenix Suns versus the Orlando Magic. The Phoenix Suns are up 6 on the line. And I think this is going to be an easy prediction for me as well. Despite not having Chris Paul nor Devin Booker, I still think the Phoenix Suns have way too much firepower for the Orlando Magic. And so win this game easily. Also, on TNT, it's a good matchup indeed. Tipping off at 7:30, you have the New Orleans Pelicans playing against the Memphis Grizzlies. Two exciting young teams. New Orleans had turned it around drastically under head coach Willie Green first season. I mean, from the start of the season, I thought they was done. Not having Zion nor Brandon in the fold at the beginning. Now that Brandon is coming along, looking like his all-star form from last year, and the addition of CJ McCollum, this team is now something to fear. And they've been playing great basketball lately. And what more can I say about Memphis Grizzlies with the arrival and the coming of Ja the Great, who's having an MVP season, leading this team to new heights. As I stated earlier, they're now in the second seed in the West as of right now, and they're simply trying to gain momentum and show dominance at home against an up-and-coming Pelican team. So it should be a great game indeed. My choice in this game would be, as I take a deep breath, Memphis is up by 5.5 points on the line. I'm going to go with Memphis as well. Even though I would not be surprised if New Orleans will pull up the upset. It could happen. But I'm going to go with Ja Morant and the Grizzlies on this one. Also, tipping off at 8 o'clock today, you have the Bucks going against the Thunder. The Thunder are at home going against the Bucks. Milwaukee is up 13.5 on the line. Safe to say, I'm going to take the Bucks in this game, hands down. And for the last game of the night, coming on TNT at 10 o'clock, you have the Clippers versus the Warriors. The Warriors trying to bounce back from 2 defeats from the hands of the Los Angeles Lakers and from last night from the Denver Nuggets. So they back home in the Bay Area at the Chase Center. The line have the Golden State Warriors up by 5.5. Clippers are a solid team. However, I think the Warriors going to come back home and get some of that home cooking, use that home seasoning, and defeat the Clippers today with no problems. So those are my predictions. We'll see how they turned out. Yesterday, I finished 4-2. Not bad, but I'm trying to get a purpose sweep. I haven't had a purpose sweep since I've been on YouTube. So wishful thinking, forward thinking is what happened. I guarantee. All right, moving right along here. Let's switch over to the NFL. The latest news, if you haven't heard, Calvin Ridley has been suspended for all of next season because of gambling. Very interesting, but let me read this article to you. So let me see how you feel about it as well. When Atlanta Falcons receiver Calvin Ridley stood in front of the table off to the side of the practice field that October afternoon, answering questions about why he didn't travel with the team to London, he said he knew it would be a short-term break. No one could have expected at the time it might be the last time Ridley would be talked as a member of the Falcons. But after Monday news announcing Ridley has been suspended for at least a year for gambling on games in November, it's hard to see there being any other outcome. That his contract is pushed back a year probably won't matter at this point. How could the Falcons trust Ridley again? Never mind that Atlanta put its full support behind Ridley as he worked through mental health struggles. Never mind that the team stood by him when he abruptly stepped away from the game and his teammates 24 hours before the Falcons would play and lose to the Panthers in October. But now, when he was away, when the team was offering him as much support as it could, Ridley was doing one of the things every player in every sport knows you're not supposed to do. You cannot bet on games in the sports you play, period. What was Ridley thinking at the time? Great question. Other than tweets sent after the announcement on Monday in which he admitted to gambling, we don't truly know. And regarding whether Ridley issues continue to deal with, you hope he's getting help. But he also knows this has to be the ultimate no-no. There are signs posted nearly everywhere in the locker room. There are videos showing to teams the penalty, if caught every time, are severe. Lifetime bans to what Ridley now has, which is a minimum of a year-long suspension. And that should end his time in Atlanta. So what you think, Falcons fans? You think Ridley's going to be done, or he can come back and redeem himself? I don't know, man. I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't know, man. It's going to be a good question. Me personally, I think he might want to just go to a different team, get a new slate, new start. But if they can patch things up and get him to become the receiver that they need him to be, let's do it. As I continue. With Ridley, poor decision making does for the Falcons in short term is help eliminate a plan. It begins the process of providing salary cap relief to a rough financial situation. With Ridley off the books, the Falcons get 11.1 million in cap space, putting them under the cap. Will it give them enough money to be active in the free agency? No, but it will be the only move they have to make in order to become a cap healthy team. Not even close. More moves will have to come, whether it is restructures, extensions, pay cut, trades, or releases. Atlanta will have to go bargain shopping again in free agent and try to find players like Cordell Patterson, who exceeded his contract, and safety Eric Harris, who met the expectations of his. And Ridley's suspension doesn't change the realities of quarterback Matt Ryan's massive cap hit or linebackers Deion Jones' tricky contract or the big numbers currently held by defensive tackle Grady Jarrett and left tackle Jake Matthews. But it offers a true understanding of what is necessary for Atlanta. Wide receiver becomes a clear need. The Falcons already had a lot of receiver spots to fill with Russell Gage and Taji Sharp being unrestricted free agents, and Zacharias and Christian Blake being restricted free agents, unlikely to be tender. Now, add a true number one receiver to that list. Could this help Atlanta bring back Gage? Maybe, but the truth about Gage is he is a good competent receiver and not a number one. If a team chooses to overpay Gage in free agency, he probably won't return to Atlanta, although the Falcons like him. Otherwise, figure the Falcons will scan the list of available players and perhaps seek out a receiver needing a one-year prove-it deal or a player Falcons coach Arthur Smith believes could break out his offense as a sensible free agent and the player with a rookie or two. So a receiver at number 8, perhaps Garrett Wilson, Drake London, or Jameson Williams become a realistic option, or at worst, taking one on the second day of the draft. Luckily for Atlanta, this class is deep at receivers, so there will be options in the second, third rounds who should be able to play right away if the Falcons look elsewhere. Edge rusher, offensive line, cornerback at number 8 will all be selections as well for Atlanta. The other thing to remember is there's always the chance Atlanta was going to end up in a Ridley-less situation. They just might have received some future capital in return. Now, it's tough to see any team making a move for Ridley, even in the win at all costs NFL. That may still happen, but it won't happen until 2023, if at all. Wow. Interesting indeed. Sports gambling is addictive and it's serious, speaking and remembering when Pete Rose did it, he got caught. So it just let me know, even though Ridley got caught, how many other athletes actually gamble on the game. It makes you wonder. Because, it's safe to say, and I'm going to use my logic here, he's not the only one. I'm not going to be that naive and say, yeah, he's just one out of a million that got caught. No, I think it's a lot more than just him. Of course, I'm not saying for him to snitch or to implicate that there's others that I know, because I don't know no one on that level that gambles. But I do know people in my circle that gamble, but we just average Joes. But as far as athletes, I can't say I know anyone personally that gamble. But I can say I won't be surprised if I found out it was just more than him, Ridley that is, that did partake in sports bet gambling. So we're going to keep track of, follow this situation as it progresses, keep you all informed. Wish the best for the young man. Hopefully, if I had to ask him, was it worth it? All right, more NFL news. Like teams are using the franchise tag soon as possible. The latest is Dallas Cowboys used the franchise tag on Dalton Schultz after tight end career best season. So the Dallas Cowboys put the franchise tag on Dalton Schultz. The franchise tender for tight ends is at 10.931 million. According to the memo obtained by ESPN, the Cowboys are already projected to be around 20 million over the 2022 salary cap. Once the tag is officially in place, they will have to clear more space. But the Cowboys didn't want to be in a position to lose Schultz, who had career highs in receptions, 78 yards, 808, and touchdowns, 8 last season. With the franchise tag, a team can still sign Schultz as a free agent, but would have to give up 2 first-round picks or come up with another package to entice the Cowboys to agree to a trade. The Cowboys and Schultz have until July 15th to work out a long-term deal, or else he would have to play the season on the franchise tag. Dalton Schultz has played a tremendous amount of football for us the last 2 years and has been extremely productive, and he's a part of everything. Coach Mike McCarthy said last week from the NFL Combine, a fourth-round pick in 2018, Schultz had 13 catches in his first 2 seasons, but in 2020 and 21, he had 114 catches for 1,423 yards and 12 touchdowns. In 2021, he joined Jason Witten as the second tight end in team history with at least 70 catches, 800 yards in the season, and he became one of the quarterbacks Dak Prescott's trusted targets. Not bad. Schultz is the seventh player on the Cowboys had ever used the franchise tag on. In 2020, Prescott played under the 31.4 million tag and was tagged again in 2021, but the Cowboys signed him to a 4 years, $160 million deal last March. In 2018 and 19, Cowboys used the tag on defensive DeMarcus Lawrence, but they reached a long-term deal worth $105 million in 2019. Other players in the past that the Cowboys placed the franchise tag on, one to remember was Dez Bryant in 2015, Anthony Spencer 2012 and 13, Kim Hamlin in 08, and Adams in 02. The only players to play under the tag have been Prescott, Lawrence, Spencer, and Adams. The Cowboys have not stated their progress in getting under the cap just yet, although they will restructure Prescott's contract, which could open up as much as $15 million in cap space. Wide receiver Amani Cooper is likely to be released, which will open up another $16 million with his $20 million base salary becoming fully guaranteed on the 5th day of the league. Other players who could be restructured, also take a pay cut, or will be released includes Collins, DeMarcus Lawrence, Jarwin, Tyron Smith, and Zach Martin. With Schultz under the tag, the Cowboys have 20 players set to hit the open market, including receiver Michael Gallup, Cedric Wilson, linebackers Vander East, defensive end Randy Gregory, and Dorrance Armstrong, as well as safeties Jaron Kearse, Malik Hooker, and DeMonte Keys. Interesting indeed. I mean, Schwartz was a great tight end for the Cowboys last season, had career numbers. I think if you can't reach a contract agreement, the franchise tag will at least save him for another year so they can work that out. Hopefully, he get the long-term extension by July 15th. But 10.9 million for one season is not bad at all. Just hope with the franchise tag, which is messed up. You hate to see him get hurt. Same thing with Dak Prescott when he was franchise tagged and got hurt. You hate to see that because you feel like the players lose out. Also, breaking news, and I didn't know this either. Apparently, the Carolina Panthers listening to trade offers on running back Christian McCaffrey. Let's see why. Multiple teams has called the Carolina Panthers about a possible trade for pro running back Christian McCaffrey, a league source confirmed. Although the Panthers aren't looking to unload McCaffrey, multiple league sources said they consider a deal if offered a first-round pick and another player without a big salary cap number. McCaffrey, who's 25, has 4 years remaining on his contract, which was extended last offseason, making him the highest paid running back in NFL history, with an average salary of $16 million. He has a 2022 salary cap number of $14 million that jumps to $7.7 million the next 2 seasons. The Panthers currently have $26 million cap space according to league data. In 2019, McCaffrey became the third back in NFL history to have 1,000 yards rushing and receiving in the same season. The other two was Roger Craig and Marshall Faulk. Impressive company, McCaffrey, indeed. Since then, the 8th pick of the 2017 draft has played only 10 of 33 games due to injuries. That has limited him to 667 yards rushing and 492 yards receiving during that span. He only played 7 games in 21, missing the final 5 after suffering a left ankle injury in the first half of the November 28 loss to the Miami Dolphins. He also suffered a hamstring injury during Week 3 win against Houston that landed him on the injured reserve. McCaffrey is on track to be 100% for the upcoming season. What you guys think? You think the Panthers going to trade McCaffrey, who's seen injury prone, but when healthy is very productive? So it's a catch-22. Do you keep him or do you trade him? I don't know. I'm glad I'm just a fan and not the GM. For the most part, I keep him right now unless a great deal come apart. But if you don't have a good deal, don't pull that trigger on that trade. I don't think it'd be worth it. All right. Reading the article that I seen about Richard Sherman. Apparently, Richard Sherman pleads guilty to 2 misdemeanor charges from July's arrest. Former Seattle Seahawk and San Francisco 49er cornerback Richard Sherman, who was mostly recently with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers during the 21 season, pleaded guilty Monday in Seattle to 2 misdemeanor charges stemming from his July arrest. Sherman pleaded guilty in Kings County Superior Court to negligent driving and first-degree criminal trespassing and second-degree non-domestic violence, as well as an infraction for speeding in a roadway construction zone. He had been arrested July 14th after police said he drove his SUV into a closed construction zone, sustaining significant damage, and fled the scene of the accident. Sherman then attempted to break down the front door of his in-laws' home, which was caught on surveillance system in Redmond, Washington residence. Sherman had been drinking heavily and spoke of killing himself, according to the police reports. His wife, Ashley Sherman, called 911 to try to stop him before the crash along Highway 520. Sherman pleaded guilty as part of an agreement that spares him further jail time. He was given a 90-day jail sentence with 88 days suspended and credited 2 days already served. He was ordered to pay $825 in fees and penalties to the county clerk and $500 for speeding in the construction zone. He also must pay restitution to his father-in-law of amount to determine at the later date. And the Department of Transportation, he will be under monetary suspension for 2 years. Looks like it's going to work out for Sherman. Nothing major. Pay a few fines. Say a few apologies. He should be fine. In just my opinion. And also, we have to announce a retirement. Jack Doyle retired after 9 seasons with the Indianapolis Colts. As I read his final sentiments to the team, states, growing up in Indianapolis in the late 90s, 2000, it was impossible to not be a diehard Colts fan. Doyle wrote in a letter, "Getting the chance to play 9 seasons for the team I have always and will always cheer for has been a dream come true. It is something that is hard to describe. I now go back to being the fan I have always been and retiring from a great game known as football. I took pride in playing the game the right way and always leaving everything I had on the field. At this time, my body is telling me that is a sacrifice I can no longer make." The coach claimed Doyle, who was drafted out of Western Kentucky off waivers from Tennessee in September 2013. While never a flashy player, Doyle was one of the most dependable tight ends in Colts roster during his career with the franchise. They call him Mr. Reliable, Jack of all trades, and even a hometown hero. So, what a great career, Jack Doyle. I wish you the best. Much success to your life after football. 9 long seasons. Salute. I'm just going to go over his stats over the 9 career span of his. Definitely was a reliable receiver underneath in the passing game. Finished with 295 receptions for a whopping 2,729 yards reception and 24 touchdowns. While being selected twice to the Pro Bowl, his best season was in 2017 when he had a career high in receptions, 80, and yards, 690. So congratulations, Jack Doyle, to a stellar football career. And once again, wish you the best of luck to dealing with life after football. Well, good people, I want to say thank you for taking time out to listen and partake in the best damn sports talk on YouTube with your host, Selma Ted. Looking forward to making more video, more content. Hit like, subscribe, and share if you like and appreciate the sports content. And also, feel free to leave comments, suggestions, anything. Any reaction is definitely appreciated over here, and welcome. So I wish everybody a great day. Enjoyed the show. Looking forward to the next one. Till next time. God bless.